So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to what is episode 4 in a series of 5 of discussions on leadership topics in the new management era. So today the focus is on staying close to your heart, a topic close to my heart, and I'm sure a topic close to Peter's heart. So we're going to discuss what this actually means in a leadership context, to have heart and to lead with one. So Peter, maybe you could introduce the concept and the topic.
Yes, thanks, Paul. Yes, it's something that has focused my mind, my head, as well as my heart for a long time, and a relatively new concept. I say relatively new in the history of psychology. It's relatively new. This concept of emotional intelligence that people will have read quite a bit about in this last generation, I guess. So grab hold of your emotional intelligence and let's stay close to our hearts as we go through this pod. So we touched on the empathy and edge, and let's get into the empathy side right now. So you clearly need to engage all your team members, in particular in helping them identify real meaning in their work. And that's for them to work out, not for you to tell them. So that again requires you to tune in, to be exploring and taking your time in finding out what sense of meaning have you got in your work. Do you have a sense of purpose in coming to work? Or are you just coming in to do a job that someone else is telling you to do? Or do you have that true sense of purpose? It's vitally important. And if they haven't, let's have some gentle conversations about what would give them meaning.
Yeah, because I strongly believe that an organization is more than just the work or the task you execute. Yeah. So what do I mean by that? It's in my eyes, it's important that the organization interacts with the community. It's important that it acts in a charitable fashion, that it volunteers. This to me enriches the whole aspect of what work is and what it is to work for an organization. It's not about coming in to execute a process and leaving and turning up the next day. It's a much. We talked about a big picture in an earlier episode. This is a classic big picture to me in terms of ensuring that this coolness and this richness is spread outside the building, and the impression the organization gives to people outside and inside is much bigger than just the task.
It's interesting. You're reminding me. I know a number of people. I remember a number of years ago, my brother saying to me what a sense of satisfaction he was getting from doing some charity work through his business. And I was thinking, well, that's great. It's brilliant that you're doing charity work, but it's rather sad that it takes that to give you a real sense of satisfaction at work.
Yes.
So let's just hold on to this flavor of, motivation is spoken of. I quoted in the 3,500 research from the City and Guild, people saying lots of leaders aren't that good at motivating. Well, let's work out what is it that will motivate you? What is it that will give you that sense of purpose, that sense of real meaning? So check on how well people know individually how they can best contribute to the success of this organization, as well as to their own sense of well-being, their own sense of fulfillment, their own sense actually of happiness. What gets them out of bed in the morning to come to work? We need to help them find something. So find time for each person who works with you and book in some regular and some frequent one-to-ones to check in with them. How regular, how frequent, that's up to you to work out, what's realistic and what will work for both them and you. But typically it's more often than you're currently doing. So just start off. I've got a client who always starts off when I call him asking me how it's going. It feels lovely, but I'm focusing in on his business challenges, but he actually, first of all, he's interested in me and how I am.
Yeah.
So how's it going? I came across another lovely phrase through the lockdown. How are you feeling today? Because the corona coaster, some people have called it. People have been up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling today? Kind of giving you permission to say, well, today,
Yeah.
Good question. Well, actually, I'm,
Yeah.
it's a bit tougher today. Or
Yeah.
yesterday morning, I was feeling a bit groggy. I went for a jog with my running pal.
Yeah.
I said, can we just do a walk today? I'm just feeling a bit.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, me too.
I think
Today,
we spoke in a previous episode about the importance of the right words. Yeah.
yes.
And this is another classic example where how are you feeling today is a phrase which adds a lot more value than how are you, which might infer the same statement, but ultimately is the first one allows, let's say, a nuanced response, right, rather than a stock response. Yep.
The how are you is not normally a real question, is it?
No,
I don't want an answer, or I want an answer that says I'm good.
Yeah,
I've got some people go, not too bad.
Yeah,
I go, what does that mean?
It's the question where you get an answer which is negative, you just plow ahead anyway, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, never mind. That's right.
Yeah, never mind.
So again, back to being authentic, being genuine. How are you feeling today? How's it going today? How, if you're working from home, how are things at home? How's the family?
Yeah.
I can easily, if I'm not careful, rush into being task focused.
Yeah.
This isn't just social work though, so do that and manage it, and then, but show them that you're genuinely interested in their well-being, their sense of fulfillment. Yes, their sense of happiness.
Yeah.
You want them to be happy.
Yeah.
Actually, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Yeah. And as Dilbert once said, and we like dull boys around here. So yes. It's a shifting paradigm, I think, really, where leaders are increasingly recognizing that we do genuinely want our people to be well and to feel good. Yeah. So build in not only just the regular connecting, but some regular coaching sessions that are designed to check in and tune into how they're doing, how they're performing, how they can best develop themselves further. So there's the personal bit, and then there's the work focused bit. Show again an authentic interest in their career and its development, as well as real care for them as human beings. How's their work-life balance these days? Are they managing to switch off if they're working from home? For instance, some people are struggling with the switch off. Yeah. Normally you switch off by getting in your car and driving home, as an example.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes people are working at their dining table. They leave their paperwork around. It's hard to switch off. They hear the computer ping, or can't resist the temptation to have another look.
Yeah.
So how's your work-life balance these days? How is it working from home? What's the good thing about working from home? What's the bad? What's the ugly bit? What's the stuff that's not so good? What can you do to fare better and to continue to develop and manage yourself? Yeah. And continue to develop your competence, your confidence, your balance, your skills, your career. So you want to foster not only a healthy relationship between you and your colleagues, but also between them and themselves. So if you're doing a lot of Zooming, how else can people stay connected? Have they established, for instance, a WhatsApp group where they can share information quickly at speed? They can have a bit of humor in there as well, a bit of the office banter that they might be missing.
I think it's also important that the Zoom call just doesn't become a business call, that there is space for one-to-one, how are you today Zoom calls, where you just talk about how you're feeling and what needs you might have and how you're coping. Yeah. So I think this sometimes I think a lot of people in a lot of companies just assume the Zoom call is just business stuff, but a leader has to, as you suggest, understand holistically the individual that you're managing, yeah, and to understand that you need to understand their circumstances. You need to understand their parental issues, their marital issues, anything really. Yeah, parental, elderly parents. I've see this a lot in my career. Elderly parents, especially people of my age, their parents are unfortunately getting to the point where they're either becoming seriously ill, or they're losing them, or they need much more support. And then you ultimately, if you're not communicating this, you are holding a real horror. And your performance will drop and your delivery will drop. It's much better to have that open-hearted communication and reach out. Yeah, and as a leader, it's not a case of, oh, you're not going to, you must connect and have that emotional connection. Yeah, because that's how you create a sense of leadership to your group, and they will ultimately respond to you. Yeah.
I think that's right. And I'd go one step further and say, so with the group meetings, have a certain amount of time for the initial banter before the business meeting starts. Let's try in 10 or 15 minutes even earlier when we can. It allows people to check the technology as well as to have some banter. And then, okay, let's get stuck into the business side of things. I'll say something else
I remember 25 years ago, before the internet, in an office where we were having a particularly difficult time, the manager just stopped us as we came in at 9:30 and said, okay, we're not going to do any work today. We're going to write Irish limericks. So we literally spent the whole day writing, sometimes probably not for transmission, but a whole series of Irish limericks. That one day then put us back on course for the next 3 months, right?
There was a young man called Paul.
Yeah, that's right.
Stop me now. So look, one of the things, I had a Zoom call this morning where there was a lovely bit of banter, and then gradually we started talking about things. And then the guy that called the meeting suddenly said, I've got to go now. And I'm thinking, hang on, we spent far too much time in banter. We haven't achieved what we needed to achieve. So we need to manage even the banter time. Another thing, I had another client say to me, I'm missing chances to influence people at the, over the coffee machine, to have that chat. And so why don't you build them in, the one-to-ones? Who are your key people in your sphere of influence? Why don't you build in a quick one-to-one, however often, just again to do that? And then you can, when you tune in, you can say, oh, have you thought of, or what, I was wondering, how are you getting on with that, etc. If you're promoting self-managing small groups, are you encouraging them to be having their own Zoom meetings? How well are they organizing those?
Yeah, I think that's really critical, that self-organization and a sense of, I could actually Zoom anybody in my organization for a how are you today call,
Absolutely.
And it doesn't need to be organized for you.
Check if you want them to do it, check on how they're doing. Ask maybe at times to either see a recording of it or to tune in, be silent, tune in and observe it, then give feedback. Ask the people in your group to do some 360 review sessions every now and again. You decide how often. You can do the miniature ones in terms of how well's the meeting running, what I like, suggestion for improvement, ever so quick. But also we can do a step back. How is it going this month? We've got our quarterly goals. We've got our monthly plan. How are we getting on? How often are you going to have a real review of how, with some feedback to each individual? Some organizations do it. A lot of them are scared of it, frankly. And I commend it to you. If you do it correctly, it'll help build the trust.
Yeah, in my previous job, I had a lot of experience of 360 reviews to myself. It was also pushed down into the organization, into line managers, and also 360 reviews to my seniors, which were in that company context were fairly brutal, but always with yin with yang, in terms of what we like about you and what we would like you to improve. These are the two. Again, choice of words is important, but I found it very liberating and very a very positive experience to actually go through that.
I'd just change one word. Rather than like about you, it's what I see you doing that I appreciate or I find helpful.
Yeah.
So, and what I'd like to see you doing more of or less of.
Yeah.
But that if we use whichever the discipline is that people are comfortable with, use it on a regular basis. And if someone starts going, well, I'll tell you what I don't like. No, hang on, stop. Tell me what you do like, and then tell me what you want me to do differently or more of or less of. If there are tensions or conflicts that are arising, then decide whether you need to work out a little resolution process to work out. One of the politicians quoted it on the whole recent Brexit shenanigans. He said, we need to be getting to yes, which is a brilliant book by Roger Fisher and William Ury. We talk about the win-win principle, really. And so if there are tensions around, let's look to resolve them in a way that's mutually acceptable, that's mutually beneficial. I want me to feel good. I also want you to feel good. So how do we work that out? There are good methods and processes. If you don't know how to do some of these things, if you contact me, I can gladly send you some links or give you a simple process that you can use.
Our contact emails are on the end of each video, so people can.
Brilliant. Oh, thank you for the
Contact
reminder.
myself or Peter.
Yes, I'd happily try and help there. So you can build in, even in Zoom, you can build in some team building exercises. You've touched on a bit of fun that you had, and we've got a range of exercises again that we could send you if you want to get in touch with us.
Okay, that's great. So I think that's a great way to end today's podcast and video call. So I think the essential takeaway is that you have to follow your heart. You have to share your heart. You have to communicate your heart, and ultimately, once an organization or a leadership or somebody in a leadership position allows themselves to open up emotionally, I think it's always a very positive thing, and followed up by that 360 feedback, it can be a very powerful and motivating and inspiring process. So thank you.
You've added something nicely. Can I just build on that very quickly?
Sure.
That sense of self-disclosure, a steady self-disclosure, not going over the top, but gentle, careful self-disclosure helps to build the trust, helps to build other people's willingness to do the same.
Leadership with a little bit of vulnerability is a compelling story, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
We'll build on this next time, Paul, by looking at how we can develop a rich and fertile culture in your organization.
Excellent. So I look forward to having that discussion, Peter. So episode 5, which is next, is developing rich and fertile cultures. So that will be our final session in this series, and I look forward to speaking to you, Peter. Thank you.
And you. Bye.